My name is Sandijs, and originally I'm from Latvia. So my background is graphic design. I'm a graphic designer. And I'm not a web designer, I'm not a developer. I do both sometimes, but I'm a graphic designer. And a CEO of the company and founder as well. FROONT is a tool that works in your browser, and it helps you a lot. But I'll go first a little bit back and explain why actually we're doing it and where is the problem. So there's one thing I never liked in web design, is the thing that I have this feeling that I'm crippled, that I have to do things in Photoshop because I can't do them by code. So when I pass it over to somebody else, then they show me how it will be, but it's already too late. In print world, there are these things called dummies and mock-ups and prototypes. And also in product design, like the real product design. You always build something, and so you see how it will work in the real life. So you try to build this thing as close to real as possible, because the process is going to drive you with new ideas. In web design, for some unknown reason, it took like 30 years to figure that out. We finally just now talk about like designers should code. That's a long way to go. So I really like Bruce Mao, American designer who made this manifesto, and one of the things there is make your own tools. If you don't like something, create your own ones. So I thought nobody else is really fixing it in a way how I believe it should be. So okay, then is it me this time? So if you look at the tools of developers, those guys are lucky. It's like, and the reason is they can create their own tools. This is approximately the timeline of cool things that happened for the lucky developers. And one of the big things there is GitHub, which changed the way how people develop. And like, it's very normal now to be open. It's very normal to share and to give your time to somebody else's project. Designers, yay! Year 1990 or something. It's good. And of course, new tools are emerging. But the thing is, like, if we could say GitHub is quite popular, Bootstrap is quite popular, this is the winner here, still. A little bit awkward because it doesn't really work as it used to be. So, and of course, the reason is there's this history of design where design was always handed over to someone. Versus this new thing is you actually design it and code it yourself, and then like just this developer fixes the things you have no idea how to fix anyways. So of course designers should learn code. Like really? You want to do browser compatibility things and solve issues for like rendering speeds? Most probably no. And I think nobody actually in the whole world should fix those things. Like 4 or 5 guys broke this thing, and now every developer and designer in the whole world for each project is fixing them. It's a little bit like a waste of time. There are so many better things to do. So I would say the problem isn't technology, really. The problem with web design and why it's still too much waste of time involved in web design. The problem is mainly bad design decisions. This is a website that was just launched recently called, yeah. And the thing is, websites aren't broken. They work. Like, make one in plain HTML and it will be super responsive. It will be lightweight. You don't have to load like jQuery to make one animation. What we do, we want to have one animation, so we load the whole jQuery in. We want to have like fonts, but maybe why not to have like 5? And then maybe images, they should be big because it's important. The images should be big now. So what we actually want to do is to bring back the design to web design. Does it make sense to you? It's to move back actually about thinking more about the design part and not about thinking what's the newest thing in code I can use and new animation stuff and Parallax 5. And when I mean design, and when I mean good design, so these are the things actually I believe we designers should worry about. And that's first is context. Like, look at Dribble, or basically a lot of startups who look exactly the same. So you would change the name for the website, and it's still the same. Like, you wouldn't even recognize see the difference. And there's layout. Performance is a big thing. So it makes no sense to load the website filled with stuff just to have one nice animation, which most probably are going to load slower and nobody will see it anyways. Typography, accessibility, which is responsive design, and that's why we're here. And of course, there's somewhere there is style. Like, you can go flat, you can go different. And if after all, like, conquering all these things, you still have time to learn code, like, that's awesome, fine. Please do. So I think that knowing code, yes, totally. You should be literate in code, because you consume it, you should be able kind of to write in it. But I don't think we should take it too seriously and go too far. In design, there's a lot of things to learn anyways. An example. This is Square's product called Pay something. I don't know how it's called. That's how I pay my roommate. The context is email. This thing doesn't even have interface. What they did, they made one small thing that's gonna be, it doesn't even need to be responsive because it fits in your mobile screen anyways. It's super simple. It has nothing else what it doesn't need. So this is where things like all that I mentioned before, context, layout, everything goes together and kind of makes a great product. So I would say, as I mentioned, the problem isn't technical. So I would say the problem is in the workflow, that we pay too much attention, maybe not to the right things. So I'd say that actually we should use the right tools for the right job and don't mix them up. Coding is awesome. Design is visual. Thinking about design is easier if you use something that you see right away. Why to have this translation in the middle to make those decisions? Then again, coding sometimes makes very lot of sense. So what we are bringing here, or bringing to the table, is actually another approach to web design. And it will not solve all your problems. It will not do everything you want to do. But it's going to give you another way of designing a visual way. So what is it? What is Front? I can maybe start at what it's not. It's not a content management system, and it's not a thing to build website that your mom going to build websites now and you're going to be out of your job. Most probably not. It's just a better way to design in the browser. And this is how it looks. It runs in a browser, everything happens there. It feels like design software, at least we are working hard to make it so. It's drag and drop, so you basically design things just by moving them around. Because it's in a browser, you can see right away how the fonts are rendered correctly. You can open it up on Internet Explorer and see that round corners are gone. It's fine. That's how others are going to see it anyways. But at least you know it. You don't dream that you're making this perfect design that's going to live in this perfect world and never going to be implemented anyways. The cool thing is, and why we are here, it's responsive, of course. So you can, while building it, you can actually have multiple layouts for the same project right away. And it's not just like mobile thing or desktop thing. You can have basically any size for your breakpoint. Like also, yeah, the narrow ones. So you can have completely different layouts and different content for different breakpoints. So how can it be used? It's at first is to see for yourself, will your design work? Will it? You can share the URL with your client. You can open yourself on a phone, see like, is the type size right? It's not like making something in Photoshop, scaling double up, like having the app which shows it on the iPad, and it's not moving there anyways. So you can actually test what you're doing. That's the whole thing. But there's a twist, and that's why I had this beginning, and at the beginning I was talking about the workflow. The tool itself is awesome, but it's not helping actually make better design decisions. It's maybe easier, but so how actually do we learn? We learn by looking what others did, how they solved it, why this type works, why these colors look cool. So that's why all projects created in FROONT are public, unless you pay. And that means anybody can open up any project, and any project becomes a template. So if you like one part of a project somewhere, or some, let's say, menu or header or layout, you can just clone it. You clone it and it becomes yours, and you can edit it, you can get inspired by it, eventually you can steal it, which we don't encourage. But if we can live with open sourced coding, maybe there is a time when we could live also with open sourced web design. Okay. So that's how we believe we are changing workflow. It's like, it's not just getting inspired by the nice designs of Photoshop and then Dribble, trying to kind of replicate them at home. You have them there. Like, you need a login thing. There it is. It's coded already for you. Like, change the colors, change everything. So you don't waste your time on things you actually shouldn't, because you're copying it anywhere. So anyway, so let's just make it easier. And of course, you can test it and tell your developer, like, look, this is how it should be on the small screen, but this is how it should be on the big screen, you know, like, nothing changes, but that changes, that part is fluid, that part is static. So you have a better discussions. You can actually talk about more important things. Maybe you are actually interested about type pairings. Which fonts will work together? So yeah, we have projects like that. Just check it out. Maybe it works. So now is the scariest part. I'm gonna go into this demo mode. So it never ever worked in the world, like to demo something on stage and that it works flawless. So we'll see. But one thing I wanted to add is, that this simplicity and changes in the workflow isn't just to make changes. The design currently is broken. Like, the way how much we waste time is broken. So let's see if we can convince you that we can fix it. Okay, now it's tiny. Do you see something? Yeah, I hardly see it myself, right? Just a second. So okay, this is my personal project page in FROONT. Sorry that I'll try to be somehow not turn the back on you. These are the projects I made. They are also featured projects, a lot of them, so you can actually have a look at some. So basically, any of these projects are clonable. So let's clone this one. We still live in this world where internet takes time to load things. So sorry about that. This is a bigger screen than it was a couple of minutes ago, so yeah. And this is a layout for a website for my friend. It's very kind of simple, and let's see how that works. So as we see, there's a different layout, and everything's kind of changing. Although in a middle point, like something weird's happening, so most probably that should be fixed. So what we do here is we're not really telling you how to design. So that's another thing what we're not. We're not helping you design like we want you to design. We allow you actually to break things as well. If you're gonna make this box super weird, it's gonna stay like that. We won't save you from yourself. So at the same time, I believe all the cool things in the world, at least design-wise, they start with something what we consider a mistake or weird or ugly. So, and the things that are beautiful, they become boring very soon. So that's why we have this freedom, and that's what we're aiming for. Actually, you can do whatever you like here in terms of layout and design. Let's open another one. So yeah, while we are here, as I mentioned, you can preview it internally. So that means this is a preview. This is how this website is going to look like. This is all HTML and rendered CSS, so there is no tricks inside. And if you share this URL with your client or open it on your phone, it's going to just work. Yeah, the login form I mentioned. And here I'd like to show actually a cool thing. What we like a lot are SVGs, which stands for vector graphics, right? Scalable. And they're scalable. So the cool thing, of course, that you can scale them endlessly and they're going to stay super sharp. So while you're designing, it's kind of handy. The other cool thing about it is that you can change the color while you're actually making your designs. It's also kind of helpful. So SVGs are super cool, but beware. What's the word? Beware. Yeah? They're a little tricky. If you use them in production, Google most probably won't find them that easily. It won't show it in the image results. They're going to be super fast, but also Facebook will not really show them when you're sending your page to your friend. So they're cool, and for design process, they're awesome. For the end result, you must know what you do, in general about SVGs, not that our SVGs are better or worse than others. So as I mentioned, even with SVGs, you can have, let's say, different color in each breakpoint. And it's just if somebody can open this up on a mobile phone, it's going to be green. On the desktop, it's going to be red. So when we talk about SVGs, we can talk more about copy and pasting. Did it work? It works. So this is part of the workflow. What we are introducing here is just copy things and paste things. You can copy and paste this whole thing, and it's there. You can even let's go back to this project. So let's paste it here. Will it work? It works. So there you have the two nice, completely totally useless forms at this point. But the idea is that's the workflow we imagine. What makes a little bit more sense while you're designing, you just take parts and pieces from other projects you like or you made. It's not like you have to take it from somebody else. Of course, you can build up your own library with items that you can store and reuse. Because most probably, anyways, if your clients are startups, it's a landing page with a nice computer screen. and a phone in a hand or something. Like, there are a lot of parts which we are reusing, like buttons and styles. And by the way, yeah, okay, let's talk about the fonts. We just recently launched the full typekit library. Thanks, Greg. So which we are pretty excited about, and this is one of the features we like because that's the whole essence of why we're doing this. You can use web fonts and see how they work, like now. Not like load them later, try them somewhere. As I said, the internet, but yeah, they work. Even like, we're still thinking about it, but even the weird fonts usually work. So this is pretty cool, at least I really like it. And of course, for each breakpoint, you can change the sizes and see it right away. Another cool feature I want to show you is the ability actually to copy styles, not using this picker thing that so many people are used to. You simply Command Shift and V. Yes, there we go. Basically, you can copy any style of anything and apply it to something else. That speeds things simply up. And you can use undo. Awesome. As I mentioned, fonts, they are still tricky, and they're not tricky technically. They're tricky because you have to make the decision which one to use. And if we see the current obsession with Proxima Nova, like, that's the cool guy now. But there are a lot of them. It's scary that actually now you can choose any font combination you like. You don't have to stick with Helvetica and try to squeeze everything out of it. And the other thing is your projects most probably won't look like Bootstrap that easily. Then you will have to really work hard to make it similar. And by the way, that's also one of the differences of, so we don't like templates, we don't like automated design in general. We believe coding should be automated, repetitive tasks in coding especially, but not the design. It should be guiding you, helping you, but not automate things for you, because it's design, it's human. Of course, you scale it down, it's all responsive, different sizes of fonts. So this is another simple project, this time with the small interaction. And currently, we are great to making layouts. We don't have the two things you most probably would like to have like now. One is navigation. So we don't have a concept of adding menus, drop-downs, and flying in menus from the left and flying from the right. Not yet. We want to make it right, so we're gonna make it right. And so far, you can't do a lot of things, but in that case, you have to know a little coding. It's not like very different from the standard coding, so it's basically the same thing, except you write it here. So if you wonder, for whom is this thing? Like, is it for me? So I'd say, if you're making layouts on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and if you consider yourself kind of web designer related, yes, it could help communicate better with your team, with developers. And talking about the code and developers, of course you can export the code. In this case, it warns you that it uses typekit fonts. And this is the whole CSS of the project. This is the whole HTML. So you can actually look through it. You can, if you don't know the coding, then actually you can learn as well. You can see why this box works, why it scales, because it has margins and percentages and has weird things in there, but then at least you can see it, you know. And of course you can download it as a zip. So eventually you can just download the whole thing, including all the scripts, JavaScript, all the assets, and host it on your server wherever you like. It's free. Crazy. So another thing, what we're not a hosting providing service, at least not yet. We encourage the design side of things. One more cool feature I'd like to show. We go to the cool thing called Photoshop. Stay with me, please. Stay. Somebody was. So you guys are familiar with this, right? Oh no. Photoshop has this weird thing like the retina displays and not the newest Photoshop, and they don't go well together. So I decided not to show the thing which is there. But basically, anyways, I'll show you. You know, in CS6, you can copy the code, copy the CSS of objects. That means if you create something and apply effects on top of that, like let's say gradients, let's say inner shadow, outer shadow, stuff like that. You can copy the CSS code. And what I'm doing now, I'm copying that CSS thing. Just a second. Oh no, something like broke here as well. Come on, Photoshop. Anyways, what I'm saying, I won't show it. The thing is, in the same way as I showed how you can paste things, the same way you can paste any CSS on top of that thing, and it's going to restyle it for you. That's kind of cool. So that means you can use anything you're using now, and if you want to show some CSS to someone else, we can render it for you. We also support grids, which is an interesting thing. And I can show you actually how things, like what do we mean like when we say design stuff here by dragging and dropping. This, let's say, let's add this. These are a few of my preset texts. Like I think like the order should be other way around, and it's almost a website. This is how you do things. Are we really like recommend? Like we're not really saying how things should be here. Like if you're really like flexible to do things like this, which make no sense at this point. Let's add more of those things. So these are presets of images with a text. This is a logo. Let's see what else we have here. A background image. So what we provide actually is just examples. What can you do? And we encourage people to use it as a building blocks, as Legos, where you simply like learn from that. If you like it, you take it to the next level and then include it in your designs. So, any questions so far? Oh, yes.
So, I'm a developer, and it's just kind of amazing to me. How did you guys build this? Like, what do you guys use?
Yeah. As I mentioned, I'm a designer, so if I say something that letters that make no sense, like just blink or something. It's built basically, the backend is very simple and it's on Python. We use Flask as a framework instead of Django, which is like big and fat. We are like nice and agile. Then there's the whole front-end thing, which is like a lot. And it holds together by Backbone and JavaScript. And then there are like tinier things like somewhere in the middle, like I don't know really those names. But that's all I can give. And actually another one of the fanciest things we have is also one of the weirdest. Are you front-end or back-end developer?
I'm more backend.
Oh, awesome. So it's yeah, the database we're using. So it's what I actually didn't mention so far is like we also have the whole versioning built in. So that means you can have multiple versions of your project, and you can choose which version of this thing you are showing to the clients. So you can show one, and meanwhile you can work on another one, and he won't see it. But for that, we use a fancy solution with SQLite. So as a small, tiny databases for the project, which means every project is a small, tiny thing we put somewhere, and we just take it when we need it. And it's way faster and cooler, and nobody's doing it. And
Looks like a big project. How long did it take you all to do this stuff?
so it's around a year. Thank you.
So if we wanted to, we could design in the back end, add a navigation bar and have multiple pages.
Do you hear? Everybody hear the question? Heard the question? Should I repeat it?
Yes.
It's like the question is if in the backend you could add the navigation and everything.
And then have multiple pages.
And have multiple pages.
Let's say 10 pages.
So it's kind of secret, but we're working on those things right now. So currently, if you want to add fancy stuff, you can add JavaScript, you can add HTML and CSS. It's inline. It's a little bit ugly maybe, but it will work. So to prove the concept to the client, to test it out for yourself, it will work. But we are working on multiple pages and also other things, which are the navigation is kind of, they go together with multiple pages. And the thing is, at this point, there's a lot of questions about what the navigation responsive design should be. Like, the menu should be up there. No, it should be the hamburger icon, or it should go downstairs. Now, like on the bottom. It's like all these theories, and so it's a little tricky, and we want to provide a good solution at least. You had the same.
Yeah, like I was curious when those features might come out.
So it's like it's a question of 1-2 months. So it's not like in years, and that's not the only thing we're working on. So it's there are other nice things we still want to improve, and I can say that we most probably won't stop with, now we have 100,000 and, no wait, 1,500 fonts, more than that. But we'd like to actually have more. A lot of nice families are out there alone. And so we want to give more options that relate, like, that helps design. That's important for us. Yeah, Kevin.
So if you're going to be copying and pasting from one design that's not yours into a design that's yours, you're copying things in the DOM of one thing, and those things have their own classes already on them. You're pasting that into your DOM, potentially creating conflicts of class names of things when you do that. How do you resolve those conflicts automatically?
I don't know if I can repeat the question. When the question basically is like if you import another and paste another widgets, we call all those things widgets, by the way. If you paste those things, then the structure of classes and the class names might get damaged. And how do we solve it? So currently, support for classes is one of the other features we're working on. So a better, more controllable support for classes. So now the classes are applied automatically. But anyhow, we know a lot about all projects. So that's partly the secret, how and can we solve things. Like we know which user is doing, like what's the structure of those names, so we can fix it for you. And but it will be interesting, like the support for classes in general. Like what I like about it is like almost makes this thing like InDesign. InDesign is my favorite app, almost. And I always love the flexibility and the kind of control like what InDesign gives, and it makes so much sense when you're making a book. And the web design currently, in my head at least, it gets closer to print design. We worry way more about the content, about the structure, about the basic things, and that's awesome. And design is important, like finally again, not like in 90s, but like really important. And by the way, the thing in the panel you see, which looks like Photoshop layers, that is the DOM structure. So yeah, that's kind of visual HTML.
So if I want to play with it and break it, so what should I do? Should I log into certain website?
You have to do a little bit more to break it. So yeah, if you log in, you're going to see all the example projects. In a couple of, maybe next week, maybe we'll see. But we're also launching more projects you can search. So at this point, they're not searchable. So that means we're going to start tagging things and providing you just more and more options actually you can choose from. But yeah, you can start from scratch. You can open a demo page. You can open a page from somebody else.
So you do have a demo page.
Yeah. I can show you. So let's go to my projects. So when you log in, you see these three things. And that means with this one, you're going to start, it's written there, blank page. So you're going to start with an empty project. Most probably you know what to do, like if you're doing this. You can start with a demo page we made, just to kind of get you started. Or you will see all the featured projects, all these projects in your site, so you can view any of them and you can clone any of them. So wine, yeah. And the other cool thing is like you can experiment with a lot of CSS things here. For example, this project is, I tried out the units, all the fancy CSS3 units that allow you to make cool things, just to play with it. So you can do things which you can do normally as well. It just takes way more time than this one. Yeah, any more questions? Yeah.
Yeah, so right now to test across browsers, I guess you'd have to copy paste the link and then
Yeah.
is there a plan to just have it like right there in Chrome so we can go switch in between? Or see how it looks like?
So if the question is like, can you automatically test it on different browsers? Then the answer is no, not yet. Most probably we're gonna hook it together at some point with some external service who provides it, which basically means you send a link and you get back the all nice screenshots from all the weird browsers you would never use. And that's coming, but that's not the upcoming, very close upcoming feature. Okay, oh yeah, there is one, sorry.
So I'm a developer by training, and I've always been a little bit shocked by it seems like how really defensive designers get about their designs. So it seems like the big, like someone will copy just a little bit of, there's like a whole blog post where like this guy copied my design, and there's a Twitter argument, and like every little thing. So, and in the developer world, that's like, we copy each other all the time, that's just how it works. And it seems like the kind of big idea here is sort of this open source design and just being able to copy paste and stuff. So my question is a cultural question. You're pitching this to designers. Have you had a lot of backlash on that topic, and how has the reception been to the idea that, yeah, you're gonna put this out there and you might not get any attribution and just live with it?
Yeah, so I think designers are ready to share. They're not really used to share it in the way that somebody really takes it. They want to show off more than share. And we can see the dribble part, like which is awesome. But at the same time, we see the dribbleization of the whole design. It becomes about style and nice looking flat things. So it's not really different from the skeuomorphism and shiny things we now hate. So it's a little bit awkward. But the workflow is people like each other, they follow each other, and they make very similar looking things later. And as we see, it's like they're gonna steal it anyway. So just let's make it easier so we get kind of over that. It's like, and then we can like, because it's so easy, most probably they're gonna save some time so they can start thinking more, I hope. And making something that kind of surprises themselves, surprises the world. Like we go back to kind of, we make the whole world like Dutch design, maybe a little bit, where is way more kind of, they push it further in a lot of ways. So I don't know, but there is this question, especially from people who are not designers, is like, you mean like somebody gonna steal my website? How that's, like, that's terrible. Like websites in general are most open source thing on earth, website design, sorry. Anybody can steal all the code you have, yet nobody's really doing it because it's lame. Like, why would you have a website like somebody else? It's not perceived good, that's what I mean. So I believe people would do it, it would be simpler, but it would save time that people actually can focus on important things. Talk with developers like, hey, okay, like design is done like in an hour, so how do we push the whole project further? How can we make it cooler? How can we make it more lightweight? How can we make it load faster and work better? So those, I believe, I would like to that those are become the normal discussions. And another thing is, like the concepts of web design currently, those who are older remember 90-something or 2000 when we had this round menus. Remember those? Like, and tables, like design things in tables and code in tables. That was the thing. Like, that's how you do. That's how cool kids roll. It's awesome. So somebody was advocating all those things. I was too young to remember who. But people were telling, that's the way to do things. Semantics, screw semantics. And now we're finally getting back to the core. Yes, semantics kind of matter. And content matters. And that's one more slide I have. So design should be, your decisions should be kind of based on the content you have and not on the devices. And that's why we give the freedom instead of those 3 default breakpoints when you hope nobody's gonna look in the middle. And if they do, then they see a lot of new things. And this is basically the spectrum now. It's not like we have those three things only. Everything is covered by some kind of weird device. Even iPhone has like 4 sizes now, like landscape, portrait by 2. So yeah, so that's why I think it's like a lot of new things will be made, like new decisions, how to design, how to make a better navigation, how to make better layouts, how to make it faster. A lot of cool things are happening in the coding part of the world, where they make Bootstrap, Foundation. A lot of new cool tools are coming out. You can now edit almost everything. But we are still crazy about the workflow part. Improving the workflow and making it better. Any new questions? Yeah, so we are with the time. Yeah, of course, we're also hiring. What a surprise. But if you see that you can contribute to the vision, even as a designer in your studio or startup or a developer, and you think like, hey, you can also design something, like, yes, try FROONT and share with others. Like, try it. Let's see what happens. Nobody knows, like, will the world say yes or will they say no? So I believe we could try. It sounds like it couldn't break. It didn't break with coding. It became better, but it wasn't that smooth at first. So yeah, join us in one way or another, and let us know and talk to us. Thank you.